Yo, what is going on, guys? We've got episode 38 of Many here today. We've got Kyle sitting here, one of our day ones, actually like the day one. Best friend of mine going back to freshman, sophomore year of high school, and he's been with us since we kind of started all of our businesses. So we've got an interesting episode today. Thanks, Kyle, for joining us. Thanks for hopping in.
Yep.
We've got G in the producer chair as well. We're just going to kind of dive into the history of kind of where it all began, how Kyle kind of came a part of this, how, just kind of what the journey's been like from then until kind of this point. So we've got about an hour, so we're going to see how much we can get stuff, we're going to see how much we can get cranked out here. And then I'm sure Kyle will be on several times after this as well. So without further ado, let's hop right into the first question. So what year was it that, I guess we can take it all the way back to high school briefly. I mean, we weren't by any means super close like freshman, sophomore year, but I think sophomore, junior year is kind of when we probably started becoming really good buds. Is that time frame wise probably?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close. I know junior year for sure is when we got a lot closer as friends. You guys were all playing football, and I didn't play that year. But then I got really big into working out that summer. Toward the end of that summer, got into working out a lot more, and then school started, and I just remember working out like every day after school while you guys were out at football practice and stuff. And then we did powerlifting that winter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how it all started, I guess, too, thinking about it. Like, we were friends through school, but then like we started lifting a lot together. We had like a pretty good crew of us that would work out in the mornings before school. Kyle was one of the guys, and I say it sometimes in the podcast, we would work out like 5 a.m. in the morning, 5:30 in the morning before school would start. I would go around picking anybody up who didn't have a ride or who didn't have a car or whatever, or underclassmen. Kyle's another one of those guys that would help grab a couple guys and get them in the gym. So we'd be working out 5:30 in the morning. We'd be begging the teachers to open the gym for us because we didn't really have open gym hours at that time. We just had to like say, Coach, we got 4, 5, 6 kids coming tomorrow morning. Can you open the gym, basically? So we would do that Monday through Friday. We'd work out Saturdays. That's just kind of how we operated. And so that was another reason we were probably really close too, because we were lifting all the time. And even Nolan was in there all the time as well. So anyways, so that was kind of the high school days. We'd always, eat lunch at each other's house and stuff like that for like senior year when we had whatever this open campus, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So for lunch or study halls or whatever, when we could leave, we'd go to like Kyle's house or my house, a small group of us. We'd eat some food together, and we were really close throughout high school. So then we kind of approached the college days, and I know I was going to Colorado Springs for school, and Kyle was going to UW Whitewater. I would like to add, my mic stand doesn't work very well, so I'm kind of hunched up and sitting like this. So if you guys are watching the video and it looks kind of funny and I'm not really relaxed, it's because I'm not. But we are getting some new stands, so that'll be better. Anyways, so Kyle's going to Whitewater. I'm going to Springs. And we're starting to go our separate ways. And I know out of all the people that I had to say goodbye to, I think you were probably one of the hardest ones to say goodbye to. I don't think I gave too many people. I'm not really a hugger, and we didn't really do too many hugs, but Kyle and I ended up meeting up, I think like literally like the night before I was driving to Springs, or the day before you were moving into Whitewater or something. And I think I was going to Springs early because I had to go like 2-3 weeks early. And I remember we met over by like the stoplights over here in Watoma, and we just kind of like gave our goodbyes, said, we'll see you in the future, whatever that is. When you're going to college, you're kind of thinking, 4 years from now, life's going to be different. I don't know where I'm going to be. You're a kid, so you're not really thinking big picture. You're just like, well, I'm probably going to live out in Colorado now, and you're going to be in Whitewater. So you're not really understanding as much as you do now. But so that's what we did, and then I know we went to. So I'm out in Colorado. I guess we'll set the stage. I'm out in Colorado. You're out in Whitewater, and we're kind of like texting like all the time, right? I mean, we're just like having conversations like, dude, what's up? How's school? Or how shitty is school? When are you coming back home? I think we were trying to figure out how to like maybe get you to come out to Colorado and visit me or meet, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I remember we were just like, there was a little while we didn't, just like new experience, new college. You're trying to like make some form of friendships over with the new people. So I know we didn't talk for a little while, but then eventually I think one of the first texts was just like, hey man, how's it going? You should see the Whitewater gym. Like kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like it had a bunch of nice like hammer strength stuff, but the pads are just all ripped to crap, and just you can't wear headphones in the gym.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I remember you saying that.
it was just it's not like that anymore, but that's what it was, and
Yeah,
it
it was
sucked.
goofy. No headphones. I remember that text vividly, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not allowed to wear headphones or anything." I'm like, "How stupid is that?"
Yeah.
And was that gym was always busy with like sports stuff too, or they like the sports teams had like priority maybe or no?
Yeah, so there was a couple certain times where it was for athletes only. And that was basically like the time that a lot of times that like most college kids would go work out. So it'd be like 7 to 10 a.m. athletes only, and then it was 3 to 6 p.m. athletes only. And that's a lot of what gym's busy times are, is right away in the morning or right after work. And I would get up at I just kept to our schedule. The gym opened at like 6 a.m. So I'd walk over there at 6 and work out right away. And I'd try to get my roommate to go with me most of the time. And he told me right away, he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep working out. I'm going to keep up with it. I think I got him to work out like twice.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just working out. And then, yeah, we started texting every day. And you were friends with some guys out there. And we're starting to do some priority athlete stuff and working out. And your gym looked way better than mine out there. So
Yeah, the gym out in Springs is nice. So if we fast forward to, so for those of you that have listened, we did Priority Athlete. It was like an online training and apparel, basically, right? It wasn't anything crazy, but what do you remember from like the early days of when I was doing the Priority Athlete thing? Like, just from your point of view, there was Thomas, there was like this thing, this website. Like, what do you recall from like briefly those conversations, if anything?
um, I remember it all starting, and then just kind of like the test phase of it. And you wanted me to like go through the site and be like a guinea pig, and like apply to get a workout plan, and like and so that somebody could make me a workout plan or like a meal plan, and just make sure like it all worked how it was supposed to. And I just remember for a couple weeks like talking on the phone for an hour or an hour and a half a couple nights a week, and just going over it all. And then I obviously remember buying apparel. I still have a lot of my OG
Yeah.
priority athlete stuff. But um the other thing I remember would just be like, you were going to do these certain workout plans, and then if somebody came in who was more of a like a their body was built more like mine, and they had a metabolism like me, you wanted me to set a workout plan for them, and have them follow this workout and this meal plan, because that would work to help them achieve the goal of, putting on weight
Yeah.
when it's hard for somebody to put on weight
I
like
forgot
that.
about that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we kind of wanted like individuals that like fit the mold of like all the different body types, right? Like if there's a guy severely overweight, it's like the typical like workout program you see online. You're overweight and you see like some Jeff Side or some extremely ripped dude. Oh, fucking eat like me and get a six pack, right? It's like, okay, come on, this dude's probably not the same general body type. So like having somebody who was bigger and then lost weight is a good coach for that person. And if somebody's skinnier that has trouble putting on weight, I think that was kind of the mindset, right?
yeah.
So that's actually cool. I totally forgot that until you mentioned that now. Um, so you bought the Priority Athlete apparel, and again, we really made no money on that. It was like I think the hoodies were like $50 or something, or 45 or 49, and I literally think we were paying like 42 or $44 after it was like shipped. And I would get all of the stuff. I think I got all the stuff shipped to like me, and then I figured out how to get it back to everyone else, or I can't remember. When I was out in Colorado, I can't remember. I know when I came home, it was easier. I would just have it all shipped to me, and then I would disperse it. But I think when I was out in Springs, we would get it. I don't know. But yeah, so we really didn't make any money. Kyle's an early supporter and helped the program. And uh, again, when you're young, you just don't really have an understanding of, not necessarily an understanding, but I feel like, when you're 18, 19 like that, your vision is just like, uh, you can like basically like the sky is the limit. You just think like anything and everything, and like there's no dampers on anything. You get older, you get a house or a dog or a family or whatever, it kind of like shrinks that vision almost of like what you think is possible. And so I feel like that's something that we all need to do a good job of, is like trying to get out of that mentality of like well, I've got these other responsibilities. Like when you think like a kid, it's like anything's possible. And I just love that mindset because those were fun times. I mean, we call them like the simpler times. We had no worries in the world. We had no concerns. We just like did whatever we wanted to do. And that was a good time. So anyways, so moving on from college. So now tell me what you remember. I'm coming home. You're still in school. Like, let's just kind of rehash that a little bit. And for those of you that know, we actually do, or for those of you listening, we recorded a podcast yesterday with me, Kyle, and Nolan. We're actually kind of throwing that out the window, and we're just going to do Kyle individually and Nolan individually, so we have more one-on-one time. So Kyle and I are kind of working through some of these things and like trying to not think about what we just talked about yesterday to start fresh, just so you guys understand. This is kind of like a practice, and we're working on this. So let's take it from I'm coming home from Springs, you're still in Whitewater, and then kind of move into like you leaving Whitewater. Like just talk about like that first 2 years of college phase and kind of what you remember.
Yeah, I remember. I think you were still going to Springs and you just came home, but you came home for like Thanksgiving break or something, and I was home obviously too, and out of nowhere, like you just pulled into my driveway at my house, and it was like cool to see you. We hadn't seen each other in a while and everything like that. Um, and then shortly after that, I think if it wasn't then, you kind of let me know like, hey, I'm coming home. I'm not gonna be going to Colorado anymore. I'm not gonna do what I wanted to do out here, and it's not what I want to do or what I thought it was gonna be. And so you were gonna come home and start doing your thing with I think even at that time maybe I think you already kind of had the idea you were gonna do like a personal training studio or set up some kind of little like gym type thing. But yeah, you came home to do that, and then I just remember you. It was during the week too. Like I don't know if I was in class or if I was done with classes for the day or something, but you just texted me and you were like, "Hey, you want to come with me to pick up gym equipment tomorrow?" And so I just remember one of the first like Fridays or Saturdays that we went to pick up gym equipment. We went all over the place. Like we went to, I think we went to Milwaukee and we picked up that set of just cast or like those hex dumbbells from the dude that,
Oh yeah,
yeah, from his garage. And so we picked up those in a dumbbell rack.
I think we had that fitness gear bench too. I think that might have been the same time.
Yeah, yeah, fitness gear bench. And then I want to say it was the first day, but maybe it was a couple weeks later. We also went over to that guy in Lake Geneva and bought those universal dumbbells that we have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was my
yeah,
first time driving a trailer.
yeah, and backing up in that
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah, I think we were borrowing Goody's dad's trailer at the time because I don't think we had an enclosed, and I think we used an
Yeah,
enclosed at that time because
yeah,
the first time we went, or that time we went and got those squat racks, we were with Goody and we were using his trailer, and then also we got a flat tire like in
in Milwaukee.
like in Milwaukee, like in the construction area.
Yeah,
And that's when I was wearing that orange cowboy hat and showed up to that guy's place because he didn't like me, and
he wouldn't sell to you,
yeah,
so I messaged him on Craigslist and I
yeah,
got him to sell to us, sell to me.
yeah, yeah. So I'm dropped out of school. Priority Athlete was happening, and it was just kind of like an online thing. It kind of turned into like the first studio aspect. Um, you're still in school while this is kind of happening. So to put it in timeline wise, I went to Colorado Springs for a semester, came home around Thanksgiving. I dropped out. Kyle's still going to Whitewater. I then am going to Green Bay Technical College, NWTC, for like 2 semesters, but I wasn't really doing anything there. But at that time, like as soon as that happened, that was kind of like the same because we were actually working out in Wild Rose all the time.
Yeah,
So for those of you listening that are local, I live in Neshgoro. Kyle lived in Watoma area or out towards the Red Granite, basically. And we would drive to Wild Rose like basically every evening. This would be like when Kyle was like on home from break still because he was still going to school. So basically from Thanksgiving or whatever, kind of after first semester into after Christmas break, we would train at Wild Rose. That was like basically our gym. And, it was open from like, 4 to 7 or whatever. I think it was like $3 a day pass or $10 for the week. And so we would just get a truck full of us. Even G in the producer chair, he was, are you in middle school? Either G was in 8th grade, yeah, probably 8th grade, going into freshman year, whatever. We would get a truck full of us and go to Wild Rose. We'd get a lift there, and we were bringing like 5-10 people there. Goody, my sister, Matthew Kroll. we had a good amount of people that we were just training over at Wild Rose because that was like the gym we were working out at. And so that was kind of like after that first semester of school. So now I'm going to Green Bay. Kyle's still going to Whitewater. And at the time, we're like on free time. Kyle's home. I think you were coming home maybe most weekends at that point because we would just like work out together and stuff. Kyle and I start looking for gym equipment. I'm like, hey, man, we got this pickup here or there. Like, let's go do this stuff. For those of you who have listened, or for those of you who have not listened, basically what happened is we were training at Wild Rose all the time. And then once in a while, I would actually go and train at like the Y. So I went to like the Y in Stevens Point, and I don't know if it was because you went there. So I went there a couple times. I know I was there with Austin Melendres once or twice, and I know I was with you. And my goofy, if you remember, I think his name was Josh. Josh, sorry if you're listening, but he was like a friend of mine from like when I was like in Pembine, Wisconsin until like second grade. His name was Josh. I don't know if you remember this, but he was going to school at Stevens Point, and he had me on like Snapchat, and he noticed I was training at the Y, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I'll come." Like I hadn't seen him since first grade. Like I don't know this kid, but like so I don't know if you remember, we like got him to work out with us or whatever. But anyways, we were training at the Y one time, and I was posting actually on my Snapchat of like my exercises. I don't know if you remember, but I would post like a short video of each of my exercises, and at the end I would put like screenshot for the workout, right? So I would put like our chest workout, and people would screenshot it and save it. And this is pre-influencer, this is pre-TikTok, all that stuff. So what happened was we were at the Y, and we got talked to for like privacy policy. Hey, you can't be recording here. I'm like, I'm literally just taking like a 5-second video of myself. Yeah, well, there's a privacy policy. There's people in the background, like you can't do that. And I was like, well, all right. Like I was basically just pissed off. It's not like my shirt was off. I wasn't like being loud or anything. I was just like working out on like literally like a chest fly machine. And so from that point, I had called my mom, basically pissed off, not right away, but I was like, I just want to open our own thing so that way we can like basically record and do our own stuff. Like then we can do our own. At the time, vlogging was huge, or like vlogging was becoming big. And like those, I always liked, and maybe you did too, those like 5, 10, 20 minute like workout videos where it was like some dude like working out, but then it was just like a motivational speech like over top of like some dude working out or like dude sprinting and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was like the old motivational videos like 10 years ago that like you would just listen to, and I just thought those were cool. So I wanted to remake those in videos similar. So didn't get kicked out of the Y, but got told that we can't do that. Called mom. She actually had a space that we could rent basically. And then we pursue opening a little studio there. So like literally like within 2 weeks of this happening, we start like looking for gym equipment. I had to go to Eau Claire to get our rubber flooring. I remember that. That was like the first thing we had to get was flooring in there. We moved like my parents' squat rack and stuff from the house in there. And then like basically like the next week it was like, okay, we got to go get stuff. So then we're getting dumbbells. We're getting our squat racks from Angry Guy down in Lake Geneva area or Kenosha area. We got our dumbbells from Lake Geneva, which we still have to this day. We went up to, I think it was Chippewa Falls or Eau Claire as well, and we got those, and this was a little bit later, but we got those dumbbells from that old bodybuilder. So Kyle and I were traveling all over the state. I'm not even just Wisconsin. I mean, we were going a little bit of Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois if we needed to. Like we would just travel wherever it was to get like good equipment. But we didn't have any money, right? So like everything is $100, $200 at the time, and that's just what we did. We went and bought gym equipment. We set up a cool little space. And when we first started, we weren't bodybuilders. We were like functional fitness athletes still. So we're training lunges and squats and dumbbell bench and bar. So we didn't need any machines. Like we just needed like free weights and space, basically. We were big into box jumps and plyometrics and stuff like that. So anyway, so let's get back into the timeline. Now we're through first semester. We're into second semester. We're starting to buy and sell equipment a little bit. You're just kind of coming home on the weekends. We're getting stuff. And I think it was about March-ish that like we kind of finally had like our own little studio where like we were just letting people like kind of come to the gym, pay $20-$30 a month. But you're still kind of in school. So let's kind of start from that point and see what you remember. Because now we're like midway through second semester, and then we've got like the summer. Summer's kind of when you start helping open the gym and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So after we started buying and selling, buying gym equipment to make the Princeton area happen, at that time, yeah, I was coming home every single weekend. Whether my parents knew I was coming home every single weekend or not is another story. But I was home every weekend because I was still, and a lot of those weekends too, I would work a day or two up at the golf course at the time. So when the golf course opened, I'd come home and work on the weekends there a little bit, and then still go get gym equipment or whatever. And by like March, April, I knew that I didn't want to be at Whitewater anymore for sure. Whether I wanted to go to college or not anymore, I just knew I didn't want to be in Whitewater. I wanted to maybe take some time off and figure out what I wanted to do because I was going for accounting and I wasn't going to do it anymore. I knew accounting was not going to be for me. So I came home that at the end of that school year, finished the year up, and then I came home, and it didn't take me very long to tell my parents like, hey, I don't enjoy college. I think I'm gonna drop out. I don't want to do it anymore. And they were against it. They wanted me to go to college and go get a degree and do that kind of stuff. So we talked about it for a while, and they basically said like, oh well, go back. Next year you're gonna get to do a lot more classes that because the first couple of years you just do gen eds.
Hmm.
And so they're like, well, next year you have a lot of your gen eds done. Like next year you'll get to do more classes in business and in accounting, and so you'll get a better feel for it. And then if you don't like it next year, we can sit down and talk about it again and see if you want to go somewhere else, or if you don't want to do college and you don't want to do college, that's fine, but give it another shot. And so went throughout the whole summer and opening the gym and still working at the golf course full time and still going on the weekends or weekdays or whatever to go pick up gym equipment. And at that point, that summer, I think we started actually getting machines, not just squat racks and dumbbells and stuff. I think we started getting our first couple machines. And I don't even know what the very first machine we got was. Probably a leg extension or something.
So I think the first machine I got was the Magnum leg extension, which actually my dad and I went to Top Line or whatever it's called. If you remember Brett, down in Milwaukee, Glendale, I think it is. There's a cool. You might have been maybe down there once or twice. Like a massive turf facility. Either way, we went down there and got that Magnum leg extension and the Magnum incline bench, and those were like our first like two machines outside of like squat racks. And we might have gotten that hoist functional trainer before because we had like a hoist functional in there at one point too. So like maybe we got the cables and then I went and got our first machine of like the leg extension and incline bench. But um yeah, I remember my dad and I and Brett somehow got that in the truck bed, and that's like a 312-pound weight stack. And I'm not sure how we did it, but I guess we were younger and we didn't have any worries. But that's the one we painted. I took it all apart. We painted it black. We put the PA logo on it. We were actually stripping all of our machines, spray painting them black, and then we actually took like a cardboard cutout and either made PA or we had like stencils from Walmart basically. And so then we'd hold them over the machine where we wanted, and we would just like spray paint them. So then they're like tagged with our brand, Priority Athlete or PA. So I wish we never sold that leg extension because it's like kind of sentimental, but there's so many sentimental things. I guess it's kind of hard to pick and choose. So um, yeah, you can keep going with that. Sorry.
Um, yeah, I mean, summer just came and went, and then I obviously went back to Whitewater for my second year, and um, there not much changed. I mean, I still came home most weekends and did stuff with the gym and everything, and at that time, like I said, you were at Green Bay, and you started working at Green Lake at that time too. So then there's many Fridays that I remember where I did morning classes. So I would get done with my morning class and I'd already be ready to leave. I'd get in my car and I'd drive straight to Green Lake and I'd work out at Green Lake with you or while you were working or whatever to start the weekend. And then we would go do stuff for the Princeton gym all weekend long. But by the end of my third semester at Whitewater, second year, um, I came home for Christmas break and I did the same thing again. And I sat down with my parents and I told them I'm done with college. I don't want to go back. Like I'm dropping out. And I was a little more adamant on it this time. And again, they talked me out of it and told me to just finish the year out. So I went back after Christmas break was all done. I went back and I think I made it 2 weeks and I moved back full time. My parents had no idea. And I moved back and I think I was living with one of my girlfriends at the time, but um, moved back home and I would go almost every morning to open the gym. And I mean, we worked out most mornings, so not that I was opening it, but go there and work out and then staff the gym for a while and figure out what to do to stay busy the rest of the day or whatever, clean the gym and everything. And then I dropped out officially, withdrew from all my classes a week before spring break. And I had a vacation planned with my parents to go to Florida for spring break. So we have this week-long vacation in Florida. I'm going to tell them I've cut ties completely, so like there's no going back. I'm dropped out of college. And for me, that was a big deal because, I listened to my parents. They were helping pay for my schooling. And so breaking the news to them that I did this without them approving of it was going to be it was nerve-wracking for me. I was worried about it. So
Yeah, and you had to wait for the family vacation to talk about it a little.
yeah, so I waited for the family vacation to talk about it because they thought I was at school
Good timing.
all the time. And so I was like, okay, we'll go on family vacation. I told them right away, like, hey, we got to sit down and talk about something when we go on vacation. And so I'm nervous about this. I just want to get it out of the way and have a good vacation with my parents. And of course, we wait till the last day of vacation to sit down and talk about what I wanted to talk about. And I think they knew what was coming. But we sat down and I told them, like, I'm dropping out of school. I'm going to, work with Colton and we're going to start a gym in Princeton and do that kind of stuff. And they were not very happy about any of it, but they were telling me, oh, you only got a couple months left and then the year's done and then you can be done. You don't have to go back. So that was kind of a funny thing to tell them, was like, well, I actually can't go back. I actually need to move all my stuff out within like 72 hours of us being back from Florida. So that was interesting. I'm super close with my parents now, but for a couple of years there, it was a pretty rocky situation with that because they were just kind of stuck in that mindset of, you need to go to college to be successful. You need to have a degree to be able to get jobs and do things. And so it was a big, and my brother and sister went to college too. So it was a big difference for them. And so that was hard for them to take at first, but
Well, I feel like for our parents too, like especially in their situation, right? They already had Emily and Mitchell graduate and go through school, and so now it's like not that we're like direct. Like our parents take pride in their kids, right?
yeah.
And like, what are they going to tell everybody else? Like, yeah, my son dropped out, right? Like that's what they have to say now. So it's like them swallowing a pill of like embarrassment almost, like, oh, my kid couldn't even make it through college. It's like it's one of those things. I think, especially 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, when like it was still you need to go to college to get a degree. So now you've got like your parents, my parents, when they go out and they're socially hanging out with people, having conversations. Oh, how's Kyle doing in school, right? Because like they know that's the age you're in. They have to swallow it and be like, well, actually he dropped out and he's working with his buddy, and they have no real plan of anything. So I'm not really sure, like, 'cause that's what they have to say, right? So like that probably doesn't help anything either,
Yeah.
Well, so I understand it from like that aspect. We're a little bit different now since we all dropped out. There's a good majority of people on our team that are dropouts, which we could have probably a whole nother conversation on college being a scam and whatever else. Like there's definitely things that college are important for, but just the general public, like you said, gen eds for 1 to 2 years, and then like it's just why are we paying a like why it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No.
Um, so before we get on a college rant, so how parents wise, so you told them like, hey, I'm dropping out, I'm gonna work with Colton. Like, did you give them a game plan or a business plan, or you're just kind of like, we're gonna do this thing and like kind of this gym and like we're just gonna do what we love, basically? I assume was the conversation. It's not like you gave them like a detailed here's how I'm gonna make any money and do anything with this. It was just like, I don't want to go to school and I want to hang out with with Colton, basically. I feel like.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
I mean, I didn't have a plan.
yeah, we didn't really have a plan. We just knew like we're gonna open a gym
Yeah.
in Princeton, and we're gonna try to train athletes and do stuff like that. So that was basically the conversation. Was I'm gonna drop out and I'm gonna work with Colton and try to do personal training and get this gym going in Princeton. And I think that had an aspect of it too. Is like, oh, you're opening a gym in Princeton, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like it's a town of 800 people.
yeah, right.
So
Yeah, that doesn't help either. Well, I think what helped our conversation too, like obviously timeline wise, I can't quite remember, but like I had been, even when you were at school, like I had been buying and selling a lot of gym equipment. Like that was basically all I was doing. And then I was also doing a little bit of PT stuff at Green Lake, which was like supplemental income to help the Princeton gym. Any money that was making was going right back into the Princeton gym. And I remember from buying and selling equipment, like I ended up having a decent amount of cash just saved up and set aside. And so I think I was kind of telling you, like, dude, I think we can just like kind of pursue this as well. And then like kind of do this gym thing and like we can make it make sense. Not like I was promising anything. It's not like we had anything set in stone. Never ran a business before, but I think those were kind of influencing our decisions as well. But I can't remember at the end of your college, when you dropped out or shortly thereafter, that then the opportunity came, which is kind of like the next part of the story, where we were approached with an opportunity for equipment installs and servicing, basically, right? Like that's kind of like the next big thing that happens. You drop out, we're kind of doing our fun stuff, we're getting equipment, and then either like right before you dropped out or maybe within a couple months after, we were approached with, I'll let you kind of explain the story without name dropping, but kind of go into what you remember from that, and I'll just kind of chime in as needed. But we had this unique opportunity, and then that was kind of like, hey, I think we can go all in on this. And that's kind of when I think you stepped away from the golf course, and it all just kind of came together, maybe,
yeah, I was still doing, even when I dropped out, that I was still working. I actually, for a couple of years on top of that, I still worked at the golf course. Whether at first it was, close to full time, and then I kept pulling hours back and back so that we could keep doing our stuff. But we were buying and selling, well, not buying, but we were selling equipment for the guy that we were talking about from the Madison area. And he would just send up box trucks of, used cardio equipment, and we would stock it at the warehouse and then list it and try to sell it. And so we were doing that, and then we weren't even refurbishing them yet. Like we weren't even like fixing them or anything. Like he would send us the ones that either were already refurbished or like they're good as is and just sell them that way. And then I just remember like one afternoon you getting a call from him and him just saying like, hey, do either of you guys think you're handy enough to like go work on treadmills and ellipticals? And we kind of just looked at each other like, no, we've never done any of that. Like we're somewhat handy, but we're not like that.
And what was our motto was like, we like strength equipment. Like
Yeah.
we didn't have cardio in our gym, and we weren't buying and selling cardio. Like we like gym, like we like strength. And if you remember, like my motto was always like, this doesn't really break.
Yeah.
Like cardio could break, right? Like, so we didn't even really want to touch that stuff just because of the issues. But
yeah, no, we didn't. Yeah. But yeah, I just remember him calling and, do you think one of you guys could do, go fix treadmills and ellipticals and stuff? And we're like, well, we might as well try it. Like, what are we out if we try it? So we went to like Walmart that night and bought just a basic ass tool bag.
like some shitty tools,
we bought some Stanley basic tools for me to go on routes with the next day down in Madison to go to these Anytime Fitnesses and try to fix broken treadmills and ellipticals.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
No.
So that's how I got into it. I just literally bought a bag of tools at 9:00 at night, and then 8 hours later I went down to Madison, and I didn't get to go to houses. I went to commercial gyms where like they need their equipment fixed now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to figure out how to do it.
And a bunch of eyes on you too, not just one set of eyes. You had like a lot. It's a commercial gym, yeah.
So yeah, that's how we got into service, I guess. It's just buy a basic tool bag and go down there and figure it out. And if you don't know how to do it, call Precor or call somebody who knows what they're doing, I guess. So,
Yeah, anybody besides me too. Uh, yeah, so we stumble across this guy that we start selling equipment for because a little backstory. I was Craigslist was the big thing then. Marketplace really wasn't. So I would message these dudes on Craigslist like, "Hey, I want to buy this. Hey, I want to buy that." And when I was a kid, not that I'm not now, but when I was younger, the model was like basically offer half off, right? Like, hey, if it's 2 grand, we're offering $1,000. If it's 500, we're offering 250. Saying we can pick it up tomorrow because we had no other applications. So like that was how we were buying and selling stuff. So this guy I had contacted several times, and I was just a tire kicker to him, and we never made a deal happen. But he had like this pre-core cable crossover that I was like interested in, but like I think it was actually 1,200 or 1,500 bucks, and I wanted it for like 600 or 700 bucks probably. Um, I just like couldn't pull the trigger on 1,200 bucks. That was a lot of money at the time. So, anyways, finally I hit him up like one other time, like, dude, you still got that cable cross? And he's like, yeah, actually, I've got so much stuff coming, I don't have any space for it. And I said, dude, I got all this space here, LOL, basically, right? Like I was at the time we had our 2 units in Princeton, so we're at 3,000 square feet. We're not using this back section. I said, I got this whole unit back here that we can use. Because I think we were maybe like selling some of our own, like a couple random pieces back there or something. And he goes, dude, I will send you like box trucks tomorrow, whatever. So let me start getting these loads of cardio. We don't know how to fix it. We're just selling it. And then, yeah, it spirals into what we do. And I'll give a little bit more backstory on this individual. Long story short, he ran a very successful business with his business partner for some time. And that got into some money troubles, personally and professionally. And I think Brian and Robert are looking to, we can deal with them a little bit. Personally and professionally, they're running into some money problems. And we didn't know that at the time, but that's kind of why he hit us up to say, do you want to service stuff? Do you want to fix stuff? Do you want to sell stuff? Because he was trying to kind of be, I feel like, shady, and he couldn't pay his own guys, right? So it was a very weird deal. We end up getting involved. We start fixing stuff and kind of getting, I don't even know how we were getting paid for the stuff at the time, to be honest. I think maybe he was just saying like, keep some cash from your sales or something. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea how that was working. Or maybe we were billing the customers at the time and we were trying to give him a kickback or something. I don't remember how it all operated back then, but long story short, we did work with this guy for probably about, it seems a lot longer than it was, but it was probably only like 18 months, maybe 12 to 18 months. And the first 3 to 6 months was like learning the trades and understanding how to fix the stuff and getting in with the individual's contacts for installs, right? So that's kind of how we met Precore and Matrix and a lot of the people in the industry. And then because of this individual, when we would talk about this individual to other people that were important in the industry, they would kind of look at us like, oh, you work with him. And we didn't really understand that at the time because, again, it wasn't until like the back half of our relationship that we really understood like how it really all was, you know? And for those of you that know me, I'm like I give second chances. I'm too nice. I care about people. Not that Kyle doesn't, but Kyle, especially when Kyle is younger, Kyle's very, I don't know if like hard skinned, like he just, doesn't like the people he doesn't like and likes the people he likes. And sometimes doesn't like to get along with everybody, let's say. So I'm trying to make amends with this guy and I see the good in the relationship for the business aspect. Kyle sees the relationship as this guy fucking sucks and he doesn't show up on any time. He doesn't answer any of his phone calls. Like he's not helping me at all. So basically screw this guy. Like that was the relationship. So then it was kind of hard on Kyle and I, which there's probably a whole episode on Kyle and I's early on relationship because, which actually we should probably dive into that a little bit. But so we worked with this guy for 12 to 18 months. The back half was basically like on his way out, but I didn't know how to like cut it off. I've never really fired anybody, like even to this day. And two, like it was just a weird relationship. We're 20, 21. This man's like 45. And then like just communications, it was just weird. So we were kind of sucking everything we could out of him as far as contacts and service and all that stuff. So anyways, hindsight's 2020. It paid off in the long run. We've built a very great, successful company from the contacts and stuff in that shitty relationship that we did have. There were several times where this guy stole money from us, or we didn't get paid for stuff, or we paid him to pay this other customer, and then that customer never got paid, and then it was just a really bad start to all of this. But again, hindsight's 2020. We wouldn't be where we're at necessarily now without some of his connections then. So, but we'll move on from that conversation. There's probably a million stories we could kind of dive into that, and we will probably dive into some of those stories like at a further podcast. We do have it's about, we're recording right now. It's about 8:30, and we've got some guys that need some help here. So sorry for checking my phone here. We've just got some guys working outside, and it's about 8:30. So let's talk about early on. So eventually, which we haven't gotten to yet, you drop out of school, all of this stuff's happening, and then eventually you move in by us, and you're just living at home with me and my parents, my family, which was totally fine. Like, it was a mutual thing. It was good. And at the time, you're doing like service as much as you can, as much as we had, whatever it was. It was just basically me and Kyle. I think Drake, I don't know when Drake was like kind of in the picture, just like doing side deliveries. He comes on later, but like I think Drake was kind of doing some deliveries for us, like randomly, sporadically, weekend stuff.
Yeah.
That was just like, so he was also very early, day one to this as well, but more of a delivery guy. So you live with us. I guess you take it from there. You tell us what you want to, that experience, what your thoughts are on, you lived with us, pros, cons. And mind you, again, we are like 20 years old, 19, 20. So we are very young and just trying to, again, figure out business, figure out life, figure out like the future. And so explain what your 2 cents are on living with us, and then maybe how that was hard for like us, like in life too, and just like working. Because there was like it did affect our personal relationship and stuff too. I would like to add, if we were to live together now, it would not be the same. It would be a lot. I think just maturity and age and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We would handle it a lot better. But at the time, everybody tells you never work with your friends or family, which I disagree. I love working with my friends and family. It makes it way more fun. We can do everything together. We can take off days together. We can golf early together. Like, we can do everything we want to do. We just have to have like open, honest communication and trust. And that's something that we're always working on building. But 19, 20 years old, living at home with us, working together, we have different schedules and stuff. Like, take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, we started doing the service stuff, and maybe it wasn't every single day, but I definitely, even today, still feels like it was every single day.
For sure.
That I would get up, go work out in the morning, 5:30, 6 a.m., and then I would need to be on the road by like 7 or 7:30. I need to be on the road down to Madison, because all of our routes were down in Madison.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just going to all these anytime. I was going to all these anytime fitnesses, trying to get caught up on all their equipment that's been out of order for a while.
Because they had for preface, we had this big account of Anytimes that was like 35 at the time. They had this massive spreadsheet. We didn't know how to fix stuff, but they were demanding like all of this stuff that's marked red, which means it's been out of service for a long time, needs to be fixed ASAP. We don't know how to fix this stuff very efficiently or at all. And we've got this massive spreadsheet of like basically outstanding repairs, which is very daunting. And it was like, how do we get caught up, right? So that was kind of, so everybody understands. So it's a big account, very important, and we kept fucking up basically because we didn't know, but keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we had one guy trying to play catch up with a job that would keep 3 guys busy.
And our individual that knew how to fix the stuff wouldn't even help fix the stuff.
Yeah.
So that didn't help anything.
Yeah. So no, just doing service routes all the time. And then, I was living with you and your parents and in the spare bedroom. And whenever there were, days or weeks or whatever where, I mean, it was tiring. Like, we were working 80-hour weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so there would be times where, get in a disagreement about this or that or whatever in the business side of things. And at this time too, like, I was single. I didn't have a significant other in my life to go out with or whatever. So I was spending all my time with you guys and your mom and your dad and you and G, and then some of our friends. But I wasn't really talking to my parents at this time either. I would see them for like holidays and stuff, but besides that, there wasn't a ton of communication there. So on the days days or weeks or whatever where we would just not be seeing eye to eye on certain things or whatever. It was those days were harder, and that those times were harder just because I'm mad about work, or I'm mad about usually about work. I'm mad about work, and then I come home and I didn't feel like I had somebody to talk to about
Yeah,
that, because I mean I can't go and complain to Colton about it because he's the one I'm mad at,
yeah,
and I don't want to complain or talk to his mom and dad about it because it's his mom and dad.
yeah.
They're obviously gonna have his side, but so that was the only hard part about living there, were like those days. But I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, living with you guys was awesome.
Yeah.
It was fun, and then I mean, a few years ahead of time, COVID happened, and then
That was great.
COVID was really great because
Yeah.
you could do whatever you
Yeah.
wanted.
Apologies to anybody who is really affected by COVID, but that was one of our highlights. Not saying COVID was a great thing, but that year was a great year. I would say that was
Yeah.
that was probably one of my favorite years altogether. But going back to like when you lived with us, I would agree. It was difficult because if you came, well, one, again, I think it was like age and maturity, and then also like starting a business. Like, there was stress. There was like, we didn't know how to handle. We didn't know how to talk to each other. Sometimes we still don't know how to talk to each other, but we've gotten a hell of a lot better than 7 years ago. So there's still sometimes in life and business that you need to have a hard conversation. You need to like just figure out how to talk and let things out. But at the time, that is not what we did. It was more like, fuck you, but like silently, or maybe a little bit of verbally. And it was difficult. And it was difficult actually, like on the household from my point of view, because like Kyle would come, and then like he had the guest room, which was like the kitchen, but like then we hang out there. And it wasn't like that we were trying to avoid Kyle or Kyle was trying to avoid us, but like naturally that's just what it was, because there was like tension, right? Like there was just like, it wasn't easy. And we would just kind of wait for like the sun to shine, 2, 3 days go by, or maybe it's Saturday and it's like, all right, you know what? I can just let it go. And that's just kind of what we did, because we did not have good conversations and talk about it. But there was like, I think there's just other factors again, like of like, is it really something? I think one of the things that really was tough, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but something that I did feel like that was angering was you were working extremely hard doing the stuff that you didn't even necessarily know how to do. Um, and I had a completely different schedule. So then, like, Kyle is waking up early and going to do what he's got to do, and he's busting his ass. But then Colton might be sleeping or not leaving, or he's still there. Or Colton maybe is home before Kyle. And I feel like that, even though maybe now it's like it's not a big deal, but like I felt like maybe from my point of view that that was also like a underlying, like, you're like, oh, I fucking left at 6 a.m. I got home at 8 p.m. Colton had a nice fucking dinner. Good for him. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like that was like a natural thing too, because you were going out of your way and doing all the things for the company, as far as like the manual stuff and trying to figure this stuff out. So I felt like that was like a tension thing too. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like that was an underlying thing. There's other things that definitely piss you
Yeah.
off, but it's not easy when you're like, well, I got to get up again at 5:30 because that's what the schedule says, and then Colton gets to sleep in, and then I get to get home, and then Colton's already in bed. Whatever. I just felt like that was like a early on, like those first 6 months, that was a difficult thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some days, or sometimes, like, wasn't like it like every single day, but you do it for. There was times where you'd do that for 2 weeks or 3 weeks straight, and
Yeah.
then it adds up, and you're just like, "Fuck this,
Yeah. Yeah.
this sucks." But no, and I think like even like now, like, yeah, we're more mature and we can talk about stuff a lot better. But I think one of the biggest things that we learned was like there's a line between like business and friendship.
Mhm.
And it was hard for us to like differentiate between the
100%.
two when we were living together too. But even when we were still living together, I think that we got to a good point of like understanding, like, business is business, and then it's Friday night, it's Saturday.
Yep.
Like, we're friends right now. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can be pissed at me again Monday morning at 8 a.m. But like, let's have a fun weekend. Like, let's have a good time. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's not easy, because like personally, like the business and the personal side of things is just so intertwined, because like all we have is our business. And, like, especially at that time, like, you've built a little bit more of a life now outside of just the business, but like basically my personal life revolves around the business, and like basically anything that I'm doing even on the weekends is like semi revolving around the business or business relations, hanging out with like our team, And so like it's just so hard to differentiate that. So um, I think for anybody else out there that might be doing like something similar or wanting to start something up, one, it's very hard when you're 18, 19, 20. That's just going to be difficult no matter what, especially when you don't know how to run a business, especially when you're not making any money, especially when like, and we haven't even mentioned it, like when Kyle started and he lived at our place, um, it was like, here's money for gas or here's $200 for the month or the week or whatever, right? Like Kyle was working his ass off, not getting paid or getting like league minimum, let's say like $200 a week, $400 a month. Like the questions and like the conversations we would have would be, how much money do you need this month? Well, I've got like my, my phone bill, my parents pay for, but then like car insurance, whatever those were. I could use $50 for fast food, whatever it was. Like that's how we budgeted and that's how we figured it out. Colton go sell some equipment, Kyle get some cash. I don't think we had payroll at the time. Like that's just how we functioned. So anybody out there doing something similar, I think the number one thing to focus on with friends and family or just any coworker would be like have the conversation right away. Make sure you guys are like on the same page and understanding of like how this relationship's going to work, but then also just be like transparent and honest when things come up, right? Like, hey, this is very minor, but like those minor things, if you don't talk about them, they add up to major things, right? Like most of the time, there was never like a major issue that Kyle had. It was more like these 15 little things over the last 6 days because I've been working 6 days in a row doing service and that already sucks and I don't know what I'm doing. On top of that, these 15 little things, like that becomes one major thing. And then that's like built up anger. And then that takes a toll on personal friendship, business relationship. I mean, there were times when it was like, we probably hoped each other would like not work together or like go our separate ways or like just do whatever. Um, just because we were like, there was just so much tension there. And it was just like, we didn't know how to talk about it. And the only way to talk about it would be like, I don't know. So just, I think being transparent, honest, open, upfront, I think is like a huge thing. And not being nervous or whatever the word would be to just have that conversation up front. Hey, man, you said this one thing yesterday. I just didn't appreciate that. You know what I mean? Or like, however, and I think that's something that we all need to still work on in our company. I mean, that's just something that we're trying to be better at. Sometimes dudes will just be dudes and they'll just kind of like throw it aside and be like, whatever, because we just get over things. We just kind of move on. But anyways, so we talked about living there. COVID, I think, what do we got for time right now? 52 minutes. Okay, so we've made it through you living with us and how that relationship was. And basically, when that was going on, I mean, we did everything together. So that's also another reason that things are so hard personally, professionally, right? Because at the time, I think we were still into like bowling or maybe shooting pool and stuff. I didn't start drinking anything until I was almost 21. I didn't go out. I never had a fake ID, nothing like that. But so like early on, 19, 20, almost up to 21, even when I turned 21, it's not like we were drinking all the time either. We were just like doing things. And so we would be pissed off at each other maybe Monday through Friday, but then like Saturday we had to like go pick up some gym equipment and then like we would just sit in the truck. Some of those days it'd just be like silent treatment, right? Like we just wouldn't talk to each other. We'd just drive. We'd pick up the piece of equipment. I think maybe we'd have like a record of like 5 words and then like we'd get back home and like that was just it. Like we knew we had stuff to do, but that was just like how we operated. And we don't do that anymore. That's just the fact that like that's how it was. So moving on from that, let's get to like we're not going to dive into like too many one-off stories. We'll have you back on and we'll dive back into the timeline for cool, funny stories like Joelle stuff and all that. But we'll just try to get through the timeline here. So now we're up to like COVID. We're at 2020, and I'll start off with we actually expanded almost too fast, too soon in a sense. Not necessarily, but we had a lot of our own friends on payroll, right? So at the time, right before COVID hit, we had Goody, we had Damon, we had you. Nolan was bouncing in and out of payroll because like he kind of worked with us, kind of didn't, between school. And then was Austin and Levi, they were probably earlier than that still, huh? Were they like 2019 maybe? Did we have Austin for COVID at all? Lisansky? That was after COVID?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nolan was on payroll full time before Austin Zansky was, right?
I don't know. I feel like we hung out with Austin during COVID. I don't know. But
I
anyways,
don't know.
we had people on payroll, and being Goody, Damon, Kyle, and a couple other people in there. And then COVID happens, which was actually like a blessing in disguise from a business standpoint. Now, again, I'm not trying to say, lives were lost and it was a really shitty situation. I understand all of that. But I apologize for all that stuff. But for business wise, COVID actually gave us like a reset button, meaning like Damon was already kind of on his way out, like he should have been doing his own thing. So like this helped us because then he kind of went on unemployment and then like, whatever. Goody, we didn't run very tight ship business, and Goody's a very close friend of mine, of yours probably too.
Yeah.
And it was hindering our personal professional relationship there again. So it was actually a good thing that Goody could step away and just go back and do his own thing. So he went to unemployment or working with his dad, and then also like working with us. I'll take it back. I don't think Goody went on unemployment, but maybe he did. He might be angry if he didn't go on unemployment, and I say that he did. I'm not sure, but he was doing something, kind of stepped away from us, and so what this allowed us to do is kind of like reduce payroll. I think we kept you on payroll for the most part, didn't we?
I went on, no.
We had you on unemployment as well.
Yeah.
So
dropped out. I went on unemployment.
the whole time though, do you know? I don't know.
No. It wasn't. It was only for, I don't know, maybe a month or whatever.
Yeah.
However long that short little shutdown was.
Yeah, because I know we never did any like PPP loans. We never like borrowed any money from the government. We just like did what we had to do. And yeah, so anyways, it was a good reset. We kind of got rid of some people, and that's kind of the start of COVID. And I remember we had to cancel one big job we were supposed to go out to. I think you were probably going out to the Dakotas, or we had a big torque job that we had to call and cancel. And it was like the day that like the borders were getting shut down, or the whole, we were too scared, even though hindsight's 2020, we probably could have done it. We had a massive torque job that was going to happen somewhere out west, about 8 hours away, that we couldn't get to. We had to like call torque and say, hey, with this COVID thing, it's like literally like the day it hit the U.S., there's all these talks of like the states like closing borders and you couldn't cross state lines, and hotels not letting you stay here, and just like all these rumors. Like we didn't know it was going to happen. So we had to push that job off, which was like a big job for us. And anyways, let's get your opinion on COVID, work wise and personal wise. Like what was your take on the COVID year?
I mean, business wise, work wise, I mean, I think obviously our year was a lot slower in certain aspects. Service basically stopped.
Yep.
We weren't going into people's homes to fix their treadmills and their ellipticals, even though they really wanted, like a lot of people really wanted us to still come and do that. Like we're not supposed to do that, like insurance wise or whatever. What if we go into somebody's house and get them sick or whatever? So we weren't really doing service that much at the time. And then the best part of, not that COVID was good for any reason, but I mean the used equipment stuff, we sold out of everything.
Oh yeah.
Like treadmills were gone in 5 days.
Yeah, it was insane.
Like we were trying to get more stuff so that we could just sell it right away. But yeah, we sold like all of our inventory.
Yeah.
Plates were gone within 2 days. Like treads and ellipticals were all gone. Like people would come to buy a treadmill and we didn't have any left, and then they would just be like, "Guy, I'll take that. I'll take the elliptical." Like they would just buy whatever. Like, "Oh, we haven't even serviced this one yet. Like it's not ready to go. Like it probably makes like a bunch of crappy noises."
Yep.
Oh no, that's fine. I'll take it.
Yep.
I'll take it. Like as long as it works. Like I need to get it to my house. And we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We probably sold stuff for too cheap, too quick. Like we probably could have like sold it for more, but like, yeah, we sold out of stuff way too fast. And that's kind of why I say it was one of the highlights, because I mean, the amount of cash sales we made was just insane.
Yeah, it was. And then, I mean, COVID kept going on for a little while, and the gym, we just had Princeton at the time, but the gym was closed. We were supposed to be shut down. Hindsight, we probably could have just stayed open. I mean, the Princeton cops wanted us to be open.
Yeah.
So yeah, we closed down the gym, which another blessing in disguise because then we actually all the projects that kept getting put on the back burner finally got done.
Yep.
We made it 24/7. We hung cameras. Deep cleaned the gym, painted, like made it somewhat nicer in that
Yeah.
back warehouse section. So, and then besides that, I mean, there was a lot of days, there was a lot of weeks where it was like, what do we do? Like, we don't have anything to
Yeah.
do. There's not much to do. Like, we don't have any service to do. We can't really do installs. So, how do we stay busy? I think that's when we got into the supplements too, because I was just sitting in the office trying to figure out, how can I stay busy? So that's when I started reaching out to all these companies and tried to get us so the gym could carry supplements and protein and all that kind of stuff. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's my COVID. That's my work COVID experience,
Yeah,
personal wise. I mean,
Yeah, I think, yeah, COVID work wise, my cap on that would be we sold a shit ton of stuff. We forced ourselves for Princeton to go 24/7 to Gym Master, which is great, which I don't know why we didn't do sooner, but I was cheap and I didn't want to spend $1,200. Like I didn't really spend any money on things we didn't need. And that's why things were a lot harder early on, which I guess we haven't really dove deep into like our original warehouse and all that kind of stuff, which we can kind of come back to. But um, yeah, it was a blessing in disguise. That was great stuff. So let's hear about your personal. You're living with us still. Let's hear about like that and what your take is on that.
I mean, I don't know. COVID was a weird year. I just like there were rules, but there were like wasn't. I don't know. It was just like your parents were home all the time too because you couldn't go to work, you couldn't do anything. So it was just there were a lot of days. There was a lot of Wednesdays and Thursdays that we would just look at each other and sit in the living room and be like, what do we do?
Yep.
I guess we should maybe drink.
Yep. We have beer.
Yeah. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, but don't got anything to do.
A lot of whiskey, a lot of beers. Yeah.
Yeah. So just drink or, I don't even know. I don't know what else we did. Like,
I mean, I think that's what we did. I think the year of COVID, we sold a bunch of gym equipment, made a bunch of cash, and we drank a lot of alcohol, I think.
yeah. I mean, we had a great summer. We did a lot of tubing and going to the river and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, personal wise, it was good. I did get COVID.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And then you drank 2 shots of Everclear, which is impressive.
Yeah. And I hid the fact that I had COVID from your parents.
Yeah. What, we also, business-wise, we got paid a lot to do equipment moves and spacing for like YMCAs and stuff, right? So like a Y would need to spread their equipment out 6 feet apart and do all these crazy things to make members happy. And we got paid to do it. And then you know what happened? COVID was over and we got paid to go move it all back. Like it was fantastic. Or we would move stuff like some of the Ys would move it from their floor into their pickleball court. They were converting pickleball courts into gym space, or we'd take it from their upstairs gym setup and move it in their actual basketball gymnasium floor downstairs. And like, it was just stupid, right? Like all of the people we work with were just sending mass emails out to like all of their customers, like, hey, if you need to move stuff around for COVID, like hit up Priority. And that was actually like another big source of income for us that year as well. So yeah, COVID was fun as far as that year. 2020 was fun. That might be a better way to look at it, but it was fun. If we didn't have stuff to do, we went and had a good time, whether it was being outdoors, going for a hike, grabbing beers. I mean, I feel like more often than not, it was grabbing beers, but
Yeah.
I probably gained a lot of my body fat that year because of how many beers and lack of diet. And I think we still there was a big phase there where like we weren't really dialed working out wise. Like it was like we'd kind of work out like 2-3 days a week.
Yeah.
There was times where like I even fell off, and I'm very dialed now, but I mean, there was stretches there where it was like a week or two we wouldn't just lift, and it wasn't just 2020. That was just kind of like 2020, 2022. There was just like times where like we just kind of fell off and weren't doing stuff. So we'll hold off from current day. Well, maybe we should just kind of, do you want to keep floating and get to current day and just kind of explain how things are now? Or do we want to dive back? There's just so many things we're missing and not touching on, right? So like there's like the original warehouse and how shitty that was, and just kind of the grind. Maybe we should kind of explain that so people can understand that too. Because I feel like for part one of this interview, I feel like people understanding what it was really like. Our relationship was tough. Our business was tough. Like, what was it like we had our original Berlin warehouse. I think it was 478 East Huron Street. I think was the address. So if you're in Berlin, the big, it's now like the pallet factory on the right there, the old scrapyard. That was our warehouse. Um, Tell them what it was like unloading trucks and like just operating there, because what happened was is we were buying and selling equipment, and eventually that expanded and we needed more space for buying and selling equipment. So we got this warehouse, we were storing stuff. We were paying like $500 a month for like 5,000 square. Like it's super cheap. Um, all insurance was on us, like that kind of stuff. But warehouse one, it flooded a little bit. Like we didn't have like it was so low, like the water would come in there. So like sometimes we'd have water on our, floors of the gym equipment. But unloading semis, right? We're starting to do installs for Pre-core a little bit from that contact that we got. So now we're doing some pre-core installs. Semis are showing up to us. Our box trucks are showing up. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, when we were just down low at first, you'd get a semi come in with pre-core treads stacked 3-4 high, and then you have obviously your ellipticals. We're usually stacked 2 high and stuff like that, but we'd always have to request like a lift gate on a semi so that we could get it down to the ground floor because we didn't have a loading dock at that point. And so you got these 7-foot long ellipticals, 7-foot long treadmills stacked again 4 high, and you're just trying to pull them off this truck with a regular pallet jack. Like we don't have a forklift, we don't have any of that kind of stuff. And so there was a lot of semi drivers that I can give some credit to back in the day that would just come back there and just get through the situation with us and help us as much as they could.
Yep.
But yeah, just bring them to the end of the lift gate, and they're too long for the lift gate. So then you need to walk them off the lift gate and kind of make sure that they're not tipping over or whatever.
Keeping hands on them the whole time. Like it was always sketchy because these lift gates are like 4 feet in length and probably like 5 or 6 feet by width. So like you can't get them lengthwise. You basically have to have 3 feet of treadmill hanging off the lift gate, and sometimes more because you need enough room for your pallet jack to push them off. So like it was just always sketchy. And then one guy, the driver's using his hand on the liftgate button, and we're like keeping our hands up on the units, like making sure they're not falling. I do know one time, I don't think I was there. They did a brand new treadmill did fall off a liftgate as well, but I don't. That might have been Drake or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember if it was me or not. It might have been, but yeah, just using lift gates, and then sometimes, I mean, every once in a while, you'd get one that didn't have a lift gate.
Yeah.
And so then you get 4 guys trying to hand this treadmill down to people. You have to unstack them in the truck and then hand them down. And you got, we only have 2 or 3 guys. So you have, 2 guys on the ground, and then you got another guy that's got to hop down and then grab it. And yeah, I mean, it's not your ideal. If you work in a warehouse, you understand it's not your ideal scenario for unloading semis. And then, I mean, obviously, we did that for a while, probably 3-4 months, and then we got the upper section of the warehouse there too, and started renting that out. And that one had loading docks.
Yeah.
But it had loading docks, but it didn't have dock levelers. It didn't have, we weren't smart enough. We were young and stupid. We didn't know what a dock plate was. We didn't know. We just had to order this one thing to make our lives.
But it was like $500 too, so it was like $400 or $500. So it was like Colton doesn't spend money, so
yeah,
kind of breaking your back. I'd rather you do that than make it easy. Well, yeah. So sometimes we'd be unloading stuff by hand. Sometimes the lift gates. Then we moved to the upper. Then we had the loading dock, but then there was like a big like 6-inch gap. And mind you, the trucks were always like a different height, I felt like too. Yeah. So like not only do we have like a 6-inch gap to then get the equipment up and over, and mind you, we're just using like the truck driver's pallet jack because we don't really have our own. And then like we'd get the pallet jack close to like this gap, and then like we'd have to like lift, like let's say it's 3 treadmills high, we'd have to like lift the treadmills and the pallet jack at the same time and yank up to that point, get them close. And then we'd have like a pry bar to like pry the 3 treadmills stacked high with like the pallet jack in it to like then get it up over. Like nothing was easy and convenient, that's for sure. What do you remember about garbage? Because I remember a lot about garbage. We didn't. How did we handle garbage like early on? Do you remember?
Yeah, we used to take it to. I remember taking it to the farm.
Yeah. So we took some out. Well, what farm? Drake's farm or Miranda's farm?
Miranda's farm.
Yeah. So we didn't have dumpsters. We didn't have a way of getting rid of garbage. Like we didn't have garbage cans. We didn't have like city garbage cans or anything. Not that that would help what we had. But we had like a handful of major installs a year, and then like maybe like 3 major installs a year. You know, that first couple years we had like 3 anytimes, and then like, you know, then Joel stuff. So like, and those couple anytimes, the $5,000-6,000 installs, that would like make our, like I said, like that would pay for like 2 months of expenses for us. Kyle working for $200 a year basically, and then so yeah, we had garbage from all this product because everything comes cardboard and styrofoam. When we were in the lower warehouse, oftentimes what we would do is like we would just stack that shit high, right? Like we would undo everything, and then like we would just have like not even really I would like to say a bay, but like we weren't organized at all either.
I think it was Bay 3.
Yeah, so like
Third garage door.
yeah, well like it would just get stacked up high, and like we wouldn't do anything with it until we like absolutely had to. And then like eventually we would just have like a garbage day, whether we would just take it to Miranda's and like they would burn it over there because they had a big burn pile. Eventually we started taking some cardboard up to like Drake's house, and he was burning it when he finally bought his place.
Yeah.
When we were in the upper warehouse, we also started just throwing cardboard outside because we didn't have anywhere to put it. So like we had the loading dock back there, and then we just like kind of had like that space back there, and we just like we also had that shipping container back there. If you remember, there's a shipping container that had like some treadmills and stuff in there, like just junk scrap stuff. We stacked that full of garbage, and then we also just threw our garbage outside. And I remember we let that sit out there for months. It'd get rained on, it'd get snowed on, bees' nests would be in there. And then finally we'd be like, all right, yeah, we should probably do like garbage, you know, we should probably take care of this. So then eventually we would figure out where to take it. But most of the time, maybe it was just like always Miranda's, or we'd find other people to like come pick it up or whatever we would do. But like, yeah, we had no dumpster, we had no garbage routine. We would just have literally like, and the ceilings in these warehouses are like 20 feet. Obviously, the dad in me wants to say, oh, it was like 25 feet tall. But like we would stack that cardboard as high as we could get it until like we physically had to do something about it. And then we were like, oh, well, because we didn't have any systems or plans or organizations or operations. We didn't do anything. We just like did what we had to do and just moved on, right? So garbage is another interesting one. Original warehouse, trying to think what other stuff. You know, that was actually, I actually liked that warehouse quite a bit. It would be cool to own that place. That would actually be, well, we'd only have the 5,000 square feet up top of loading dock space, which is unfortunate, but it was a cool space. Eventually, we expanded to about 15-ish thousand square feet there, and it did everything that we needed to do. I mean, we were breaking our back. At one point, we got like a little forklift that was like kind of dinky. Brakes didn't work really well. Forks weren't very long, so like it helped, but like, you know, half the time I felt like it was sitting around broke or whatever. But like, so we did have that eventually. Any other story? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say we did get a dock plate eventually.
Yeah, eventually we got the U-line dock plate, which now we just have sitting around because we've got a beautiful warehouse now. We've got a really nice dock leveler. So you just press a button, bags go up, and then the dock leveler sits there, and it's fantastic. So I guess looking back at it, the things we complain about today are a lot different and a lot fucking easier than what we didn't complain about back then. Like, we did complain about things back then, but not really. Like, when a truck would show up and we'd have to unload things by hand, we were just like, that's what we got to do.
You knew what was happening.
Yeah, we didn't know anything. We didn't know any different. We're just like, this is what we do. And these truck drivers would show up and they'd be like, I got a couple skids for you. I'd be like, all right, yep, just park right here in the middle of the fucking driveway and we'll just unload you. Oh, you don't want me to? No, right here's good, right? So we'd unload stuff by hand, and we just knew that's what we had to do. And that's how we operated for a long time. It feels probably longer than it actually was, but I mean, we were at that warehouse until we bought Berlin, which Berlin was purchased early 2021. So really, we were in that Berlin warehouse from like 18-19 until early 2021. So it was a good like 2 years. But yeah, it was good times there. We sold all of our equipment out of there, accepted all of our shipments there. And yeah.
I missed the truck bed level dock.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was really nice.
That warehouse did have like a kind of like a half dock where like it was too low for a semi, but like it was perfect for like a truck bed. So anytime our customers would show up with like an F-150 or something, you know, a 1500 something that was just like not lifted, obviously. Even lifted, it didn't matter. It was only a couple inches. They could pull right up to this dock, which if we ever built our own, I think that would be something we'd have to build because it was so convenient. And you could just wheel the treadmill right in their truck bed, the bicep right in their truck bed, or whatever they were buying. So That was super nice. Yeah, forgot about that too. That was super convenient and easy for them. So that was kind of like the early days of equipment moving. Then we got Berlin. We purchased a warehouse in Berlin. The reason we had to do that, we didn't actually purchase the warehouse in Berlin to like have a gym necessarily. It was because we got screwed and our warehouse in Berlin was purchased underneath us basically. The guy we were subleasing to then moved out for 2 months, then comes back and says, "Hey, I don't know if your landlord told you, but like we bought the place, right? You have like 60-ish days to move out. I'll work with you." That was like a kick in the nuts, and we didn't have anywhere else to go, especially that cheap. And again, we still didn't really have like a whole lot of like fun. Like our business wasn't booming or bopping by any means. So like, okay, well now we got to find a place. Nolan sends us a link to this place like last minute. I'm like, oh, this warehouse is sweet. We could put a gym there too. We could do a gym in a warehouse. Like that's what our motto always was. It was like, for those of you listening, our model was always priority fitness is never going to have a home. Priority fitness is just going to keep moving until we can open a gym in this location. The gym's going to open. Priority fitness is going to move again. Like that's like what our motto was. Princeton, priority fitness there. Princeton gym gets going. Great. We still had warehouse there. Moves to, whatever. Like that was just kind of how we kept operating. So that's what we did. We went half gym, half warehouse, Berlin. Tell us about, this would be like 2021 before the gym's even open. Explain to us we were getting brand new product there. We had a loading dock now again with a pull lever dock leveler. Tell us what you remember about that.
I mean, I remember accepting shipments there and moving stuff there before it was even like closed and finalized. Like the guy we were buying from let us put stuff up on that mezzanine.
Yep.
Put crates of stuff up on that mezzanine and everything. So we were already making some trips over from the one Berlin warehouse to the new one and doing that. And I think we were accepting shipments there too. I think we did accept a few shipments before.
Yeah, before the deal was finalized. Yeah, they were letting us do that. That's right.
So we were, it was a cabinet shop before we bought it. So there's sawdust everywhere, and then we were moving stuff in and just putting pieces of rubber flooring or blankets or whatever over the stuff, so our stuff wouldn't get covered in sawdust and everything. But I mean, obviously, I remember the weekend that it was final, and we went in there and rented Skylifts and vacuum sawdust for 30 hours that weekend or whatever it was. But no, I remember getting it to a point where then the gym was, because it was a very quick turnaround for that to us open like at least a gym in there right away. So I remember that opening, and then trying to figure out how we were going to separate, like if we were going to put up a wall to separate like warehouse from gym or what we were going to do. But I remember accepting some big pre-core shipments there within the first couple months after the gym opened, and you'd run out of room, and then we would roll the turf up and then just put the brand new equipment basically in the gym in their boxes, and people just have to work out around it. And,
yeah, because mind you, this is like a 12,000, 13,000 square foot warehouse, and we only had like, plus the mezzanine space, but we only had like 6-ish. Well, because then like the dumbbells kicked out like this. So say like Priority Fitness had like 5,000, 4,000 square feet of warehouse, and like that's just what we operated with. But yeah, I remember, because I was helping accept shipments a fair amount too, because I think I was like maybe helping staff the gym or whatever. If like a truck was coming, that was just kind of like, I knew when the trucks were coming, I would help offload them or whatever I had to do. The turf would get rolled up damn near all the way, so then our gym members wouldn't have the space to use. But like we didn't have much of a choice because Priority was like kind of like the moneymaker in quotations. So then the brand new boxed equipment would be in the gym. And then like you guys would, like when we're building, just impacts are just going off. Like people are lifting in the gym, and impacts are just buzzing, and like shit's, clanking and just making noise. And like our gym members, I don't think we ever got a single complaint. Like nobody was like, oh my God, I can't stand working out with all these drills and impacts. Like
we might not even had speakers at that time.
I don't know if we did. I don't know if we had, I don't know. I can't remember, but I do want to thank our Berlin members because they were super cool with that, and they helped us. Like obviously they're still with us. Some of them are still with us to this day that were there on those early days. And it's come a long ways. Obviously Priority has since moved out, but that's again just how Priority operated. It was just kind of like hopping there. We also got that shipping container out back that we purchased right during when we needed more storage, because we bought this warehouse, but then we were moving from our old warehouse and we had to be out. And so like it's just this weird transition. I do remember Austin Lasansky was there for that point when he was helping us move. So he must have been there during COVID at some point because this is early 2021. I don't know. I'd have to look back at the dates, but he did help us move from our Berlin location to our Berlin location. I remember he helped move that Flex Fitness 8 stack and that Star Trek 8 stack that we got out of 212. But anyways, so that was kind of that. And then I think fast forward when we finally move out of this warehouse for PF, do we then go to Red Granite? Like, is it that time? Like, it's 2022, probably 2023.
I don't think we went. We didn't go to Red Granite right away because I remember we went and looked at Red Granite.
Yeah, we looked at it early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was like, "No, I'm gonna have so and so move in, whatever." And then we ended up renting from him. But I think we went. Did we go back to
Oh, well, we're at
Princeton?
Princeton. We were at the sock factory for a while.
We went to the other Princeton gym for a while
Yeah,
in the sock factory.
because then that's when Austin would have came on.
The other,
Yeah.
Connolly came on.
Yeah, so then it would have been like 2022 probably. I don't know when we decided to move out of Berlin, but then we get the sock factory as a warehouse and then eventually a gym or both at the same time or something maybe.
It was both at the same time because we already had the gym in there.
Yeah.
And then he let us rent that back spot.
Yeah,
to
how
build stuff in.
grateful Richard was.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah, and then that was definitely winter time for sure that we were in there because I remember Austin sending.
Work it out with his snow pants.
Yeah, it was just freezing cold back there, and he's building treadmills.
Yeah, yep. So
Then we moved to Red Granite.
So now priority moves to a new warehouse. There's no heat or cooling, except when it's hot, it's hot. When it's cold, it's cold. That's the heating cooling we had. So cold years means it's cold, and hot means it's hot. All cinder block. Not many leaks back there, if any, but our gym space leaked.
Not many lights either.
Yeah, very dim lights, if any. And we had a loading dock, which it was loading dock, but like the dock leveler didn't work, so we had to use the plate there, but it was like all janked up. And when the semis would come there, they had to pull into a driveway, and it was very tight for them to back up to like get to this loading dock because it's just goofy. It's an old building, old sock factory in Princeton. So yeah, how we got anybody to work for us at the time is beyond me because our living quarters, our working conditions were not good. And so thank you, especially Logan Rail and Austin Conley. If you guys listen to this, you guys were there a good amount. Obviously, Kyle, Nolan, and the normal crew. But I wasn't as bad in the summertime because like the cinder block kind of kept it cooler, but the wintertime was cold and not ideal for PF. But so then eventually that was just another shitty situation. That's just like typical. And this isn't like we're explaining this because from the outside, it just looks like they're having a good time and everything's great. But like behind closed doors, like nothing's really been easy. Like we've worked really hard for what we do and it's just been a grind. And so when we can take the time right now to like reflect and look back at it, it's like, damn, look how far we've come. And this is probably eye-opening again to think about whatever we're going to bitch about today probably isn't that big of a deal, but like we want things to be better and that's just kind of how we are. Demand excellence type thing. We just want things to be better. So then finally we move out of there because our guys are tired of wearing snow pants and getting sick all the time, basically, and move into Red Granite, which is now kind of present day. It's a beautiful warehouse. We've got about 18,000 square feet there. Beautiful loading dock. Give us just a brief, because this kind of gets us to present day on priority. There's still more personal things we can talk about, but give us a brief on like our warehouse now, our systems now, like how far we've come from like 7 years to like where we're at now. Like what, even Red Granite 2 years ago to like now, like just the vast improvement and, you know, kind of wherever you want to go on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously back in the day, it's much more convenient and easy now with the warehouse we have to do what we do. I mean, we have 2 loading docks on our side and they're beautiful. I mean, we've got dock levelers for both of them. One of them has the really big dock leveler, so because all semis are a little taller, it's not a huge ramp to go up or whatever. So that's nice. There's lights there that you can shine into the semi, so you can actually see in the dark semi when you unload. There's another company in the other 20-ish thousand square feet of the warehouse that we have a really great relationship with, and they have a forklift. So whenever we need whenever we need or basically don't want to pallet jack stuff off semis and unload it the regular way, we just go get Brian
When
and
we're
he
feeling
comes.
like entitled a little bit, when we're just like, yeah.
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 And I mean, Matrix sends us a lot of pallets that you can't get a pallet jack
Yeah.
under, because they only operate with forklifts in their warehouse. So we do have to have him come forklift some stuff off once in a while. I try to use them as little as possible because you should, if you can unload it, you
Yeah.
should just unload it.
Yeah.
But no, it's much easier to accept semis. The warehouse, until recently, the warehouse had a pretty good system of like, this is where the used equipment is. This is where, this is where the strength is. It's organized this way. This is where all the cardio is. It's organized this way with walking lanes. So if you have a customer come and they're interested in a treadmill, you can show them every different treadmill that we have to offer, and they can even test each one out because they're lined up ready to be tested. And then we have a system in the front side of the warehouse near the loading docks of, there's bays on the concrete wall. There's like bays 1 through 4, and those are outgoing shipments, and we keep them there based on order. So bay 1 has one separate complete order in it, bay 2, and if it's a big order, it'll take up bays 1 and 2, and we know that and everything like that. And then they kind of have that building area right outside of the loading docks. You unload everything right in the middle of the room. We have like a nice building area for everything. So you build it all, put it in whatever bay it's supposed to go in. And then we have the warehouse that we're in actually has a cardboard compactor now. So all of our cardboard and garbage just gets rolled down into a different section of the warehouse and gets compacted into cardboard bales. And we don't have to worry, because in Red Granite for a long time, one of the loading docks was taken up with a 30-yard dumpster for a couple of years, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically since we started damn near.
So everything just used to get tossed out of the loading dock into a dumpster, and that would get and we do a lot more installs now than we did early on. So I mean, there were days where we would get a dumpster picked up and it would be full again by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's times we're running like 3-4 dumpsters a week, and they're $400 or $500 a dumpster. And for those of you listening or watching, the 30-yard dumpster is like backed up as close as we could get it into like dock 6 or whatever it's called, into one of the 2 loading docks that we have access to. And we had to everybody's got to like break it down as good as they can, right? Get the cardboard to be flat, and styrofoam, you're fucked either way. I mean, like, it just takes up so much space. But you'd get as much stuff as you could in the dumpster, and then basically you'd go dumpster diving, right? You'd go on there, you'd jump, you'd compact it as much as we could, because we wanted to maximize. Cardboard's light and styrofoam's light, so we're not really paying a whole lot by the ton, because that's how it works. You pay a base fee, and then you pay like a tonnage fee or a weight fee for garbage. We would try to get it as much as we could, because we're going to pay $450 per load either way. So if we get lucky, it would like rain the day before, and then that would compact it, or snow, and then like you'd have extra space that way. But we were just running dumpsters nonstop. Luckily, the owner of the building bought a compactor for us like within the last 6 months or so, and set that up. So now they handle bailing all of that. We just pay a little bit extra basically every month for like utilities, or however you want to look at it. And again, we're kind of pampered in a way. Like, that's way nicer than anything we've ever had to deal with. Far better. Yeah, Mr. Brainmeyer calling us. So huge improvements. Even in the last 2 years, Red Granite is vastly improved. So talk about because I talk a lot about it on the podcast in general. This year, our focus has been like systems, basically.
Yeah.
We haven't been focused on so much of expanding our business, but making our business work better, more efficiently, smoothly, proper communications, like all of those things is like, which I feel like is very important. And it's not, we've never worked on that before. It's just been like, get our shit done, we're dudes, and just work hard. So what is your business take on like the last 6 months? Happy with what's, what I mean? Just like kind of, we're talking more business minded here. Like, we've made a lot of improvements basically. So what do you think on that?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely needed to happen, as far as like organizational stuff in the warehouse goes. For the first, even once we moved into Red Granite, for the first year or so, I mean, there wasn't much organization as far as that stuff went. It was, unload the truck wherever there's room, and all the used equipment's just kind of stacked up all in the back side of the warehouse or whatever, and get to it when we get to it or whatever. And um but now that we have more installs, we're doing more installs and stuff like that. That organization needed to happen because, let's say we're loading a semi for an install that's happening the next day, and that semi comes in, and if myself or Nolan wasn't there, if one of the more main guys wasn't there to tell the guys what's going on that semi, they had no idea what was going where, because even the new product, none of it was organized. So you had to grab stuff from over here and over there and all over the place. But now getting that organization, that big Q1 thing was getting those bays made and getting that organization for outgoing product going. It makes it easy. So if I am at an install, but there's an install again the next day, and 2 other guys have to load the truck, they know where it is. They know what product it is. They know where it is. It's all in bay 3. This is what it is. This is what goes. This is what doesn't go. So I mean, that aspect of things, just cleaning that kind of stuff up, makes everybody's lives more easier. It kind of takes away those. We're working on taking away all those little things that add up and make a major problem.
Yep.
So you get rid of all those little things that can add up and get somebody. It adds up over a week or 2 weeks and makes somebody mad about what they're doing. Here, we take those away, and then you can't really have too many things to be mad about.
Yeah.
So just that, as far as that organization goes, that's what we've been working on. And then getting parts organized is another big thing that, for the service side of things, that was always kind of an issue, where priority never having a home, the parts never really had a home. Parts were in Princeton, and then parts would get shipped to the old Berlin warehouse once in a while. Parts got shipped there. And then so you operated out of Princeton as far as parts went for a while, and then it changed to Watoma once we got Watoma, and parts operated out of here. And now parts are kind of operating out of Red Granite for the most part. But just getting that organization done as far as parts go, whether it's parts for service jobs or parts for equipment that we're fixing, just having them all centrally located in one spot and super easily labeled on actual shelves and stuff now, not just sitting on the floor all over the place, helps a lot. So when a guy, if Colton sold a treadmill today to somebody and they want to pick it up 2 days from now, he can just say, hey, Ethan, hey, Colin, I need one of you guys to get this treadmill refurbished and rebuilt for this customer that's coming this weekend to pick it up. They don't need to ask anybody anything besides that. They can go grab the Matrix treadmill. They can grab a drive belt, grab a running belt. Like, they know exactly where they are, and just go do it. So,
yeah. I think it's been very fun from my perspective of like working on the systems and organizations and like seeing it improve so much. And Kyle's taken on a lot bigger leadership role this year as well. So those of you listening, you obviously hopefully watched the Gavino episode, which is right before this one. And we've been developing Gavino into a leader since he's been with us. And Kyle's basically been the same. He's been the right-hand man, and he's not ever not been in a leadership role, but this year it's kind of stepped up a lot more, I would say. Kyle's basically in charge of all of the PF guys now, which it's not that he wasn't before. It's just I have less communication with those guys because I have more people to work with. So me being able to work with Kyle, and then Kyle work with his staff, basically his team, that works a lot better. Kyle's got like feet on the ground. He's working within the company, and the guys see that. Where if I'm directing all of the guys on the ground, it just is goofy because it's like, well, what is he doing? He's not here doing that stuff, right? Not all of the time. So coming from Kyle as a leader to his team, it makes a lot more sense. And then also Kyle's working with them each day to day. And then Kyle's kind of like the deflector of like any problems. Hopefully the guys come to Kyle first, then Kyle and I can have a conversation and we can figure out how we need to solve like our employees' problems basically and that kind of stuff. So Kyle stepped up majorly this year. He's doing that now. And Kyle also does all of our like commercial scheduling. So Kyle connects with a lot of our commercial customers that sell the new product that we have to do the installs for. Kyle coordinates how many guys it's going to take, how many hours it's going to take. how many trucks those jobs need, what day we're going to do that install. And so all of those things I was kind of doing before, and now it's one thing off my plate Kyle's doing. So it's kind of one of Kyle's goals, like one day a week to get some office time, work on some of that stuff. So anyways, huge improvements this year. And it's interesting. Usually when you're in business and in life, we'll kind of end it on this. I feel like when you're doing stuff every day, you're kind of like, why am I doing it? Or you just start questioning like how much you've really accomplished, like day to day, week to week, month to month. But if you take like today and you go back 1 year, the amount of things we've accomplished and done in 1 year is so great. It's easy to kind of get stuck in the rat race and be like, damn, I did service 5 days this week. It fucking sucks. But then again, if you look over the last year, the last 5 years, how far we've come and the things we complain about now versus then, it's like a world of difference, which is super cool to see. And it's fun to like sit down and reflect on it, kind of like how we've done today. So today's a lot longer episode than normal. Do you have anything that you wanted to add in or say before you go? We are going to have Kyle on for another episode. We'll dive more into like some really cool stories. We recorded an episode with Nolan and Kyle yesterday, but we decided we needed to do this first before we kind of got into that stuff. So we've got a lot of really good stories that we want to break out. Some of them I talked about on the early episodes 1 through 4, but I think it'll be really cool hearing some of the stories that Kyle's got, some of the stories that Kyle and I have got together, some of the equipment pickups we've done, some of the equipment installs we've done, some of the things we've really fucked up on. Like those are all really great stories. A lot of those stories usually come out once you have a couple beers and you're just sitting around like the campfire with a couple dudes, and then you're just like, oh, remember that time? You try to like one up each other on how bad the situation really was. And so we've got a lot of cool stories that we definitely want to share and just kind of vibe with. So we will cut it there. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. This was episode 38, maybe.
I don't think so.
My personal stuff, if you guys want to add me, have any questions, if you have any questions like, hey, we want to understand Kyle's point of view on this or this thing that we just talked about, I need some more clarification on it. Add me on Snapchat, colton.burt, COLTON.BURT. Instagram, Facebook, coltonburt19. Our email for this is marketing@fitnessgrizzly.com. And hopefully you guys had a good 4th of July by the time you guys are listening to this. So appreciate you guys. You don't have any you want to throw any personal socials out there?
Nah, that's okay. I don't need to do that, but everyone can let Colton know if I stuttered too much, if I said like or too much, so I can fix it for future episodes.
Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Long episode here, so hopefully you guys can make it through. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.